All right. So I'm going to try to make this a bit of a shorter video because in the last video, obviously, we talked about sort of the 80-20 sweetening in terms of we looked at what are the most important tracks and let's focus on sweetening those up. And we did that. But I'm in this place now, though, where I really want to start diving into the automation because this is what really is going to bring this song to life is when we add automation not only on the volume level but with things like panning, with the effects that we've already used. Just automation is such a key part of sweetening up your songs, and so that can take some time, so I do want to dive into that. But before we do that, though, I do want to recognize that there is still this 20%, or rather there's this 80% of tracks that still has 20% of the value. So there's still value to be had in that majority minority, if you will, of those 80% of tracks that aren't as important as the tracks at the top, but we still need to make sure that we sweeten them up to the best that we can so that the song can remain interesting from start to finish. Okay? So what I'm gonna do is go ahead and just kind of do the normal thing, hit play from the intro. Now I'm just gonna mention something very quickly here about why I am taking this approach of often my default move is to hit play from the start and then just wait for the problems to speak to me. And a criticism of that might be, well, then you end up only working on the first half of the song. And that can be true, but that's actually okay because what do people listen to when they listen to the song? They listen to the first half of the song. So if we can really make that good, then it becomes a whole lot. I don't know if it's easier to make the back half sound really good as well, but at least you got the first half right. And as important as it is in the context of like a movie to have a great ending, it's also important to have a good ending in a song, but it's the dynamics there are a little bit different from a movie to a song. As much as we want it to be really, really good from start to finish, it is especially important that your song sounds solid from the intro of the song through verse one through chorus one. Because if it isn't interesting, if people don't like it, they're going to skip it and they're not even going to be able to experience whatever great ending is on your song. So for the most part, I don't really find an issue with taking this approach of always starting it from the very beginning, even though that ends up often meaning I do a lot of disproportionate work on the front end of the song. Because by the time we get to the end of this mix, we're going to make sure, especially in the thumbs up, thumbs down part of mixing, we are going to make sure that everything sounds good from start to finish. So don't worry about that. So anyway, let's go ahead. Let's jump right in. I'm going to hit play and then we're going to focus on some of those other tracks.
Winters are warm since you're not here. Colors are gone, the black and the white is all I see now. Even tequila doesn't taste right. Even Coldplay doesn't sound right. Drive my car down 25, just a feeble attempt to feel something good. Cause oh, I just wish you were here again. And I miss you.
Okay, so this is the first thing that is jumping out here is these chords that have this pad-like quality to them, this electric guitar track, I'm not really hearing it. So what we probably need to do is to bring some high end back into this track. So I'm going to bring in a new instance of a fat channel and throw on some EQ, see if that can give us some. That way we can actually hear the song or hear the track. See where we're at here. Yeah, probably something like this. I love this sound. I decided I didn't want this high shelf here because those weren't necessarily the artifacts that are helpful. It's not because it's not really going to exactly help the core of this sound cut through the mix anyway. It was more that 3, 4, 5K range there that I think is what we need there. So let's see how that sounds in the mix.
I just wish you were here again, and
Interesting. Okay. I think I need an other boost down here somewhere. Let me actually try something here. I'm gonna grab saturation knob and see if that helps. Maybe if I go to keep high.
I just wish you were here. Oh, people will attempt to feel something good, 'cause oh, I just wish
There we
you
go.
were here
You can actually hear it now.
again, and I just wish you were here. Oh, what a time, what
Okay, there's something happening here. I think it's in this guitar too. Do you notice how the energy, it doesn't feel right? There's this gap, this little second gap at the end of this phrase where it feels too quiet. The overall song just all of a sudden it just drops out, and it feels unnatural. There. It's like this unnatural losing grip, and I think that might be because of this. Oh, that's not necessarily because I thought what might be happening here is this gets cut off and there's nothing here. But that's not actually the case. Maybe it's on the bass. Let's check that real quick. What's happening here on the bass?
I just wish you were here.
It doesn't do it there. So what we might need to do there is some automation, and so we'll cover that. I don't want to go too many different places in this video because there's always things we can fix. But I think that's obvious enough. It'll come back to me, and I'll catch that again as we continue to finish this mix. So, but yeah, that was just something that was bothering me. But we'll get to it. I first want to make sure that it sounds good, that I like what we have here.
What a time it was. I know it's stupid.
Let's see how that track sounds over here.
Why does everything go
If I just turn up the drive. What do we have here? If I change it to an amp. See how that sounds in the mix.
'Cause oh, I just wish you were here again, and I just wish you were here.
Okay, I like that. I think I'm overthinking this a little bit. So I'm just gonna turn down the volume slightly.
Oh, what a time, what a time, what a time, what a time it was.
And now since we added some drive there. I think we need to turn down the saturation here.
Oh, I just wish you were here again, and I just wish you were here.
I don't know though, that saturation really adds some nice bite to it.
Oh, what a time, what a time, what a time, what a time it was. Oh, I know it's stupid.
I think that's okay for now. There's some volume automation that we'll end up doing in the automation phase. So I'm just going to go ahead. I'm going to leave that for now. I know we've been spending a bit of time here on just that one track, but that is just how things go. I am trying to finish this course in a reasonably concise manner so as not to overwhelm you with all the different possibilities and the different ways of wrapping up your mix. But this is just how it goes, guys. This is really how it goes. It takes a lot of time to dial these things in. And sure, sometimes a mix will be breezy and you can just fly right through it. But for the most part, you're just going to end up with these little problems that you need to fix, and it takes some time to get those things ironed out. All right, so now let's come back here and let's keep listening to the song, and let's just keep listening for some more tracks that need some sweetening.
Time, what a time it was. Oh, I know it's stupid, but I wish that I could wish you back.
Okay, this one here, definitely. I think what I want to do, okay, so we have, okay, what I'm going to do, I'm going to actually turn off the delay that I had directly on here, and I'm going to instead put that on Ascend because I want to pan it. I want to pan the delay, so I get the mix at 100% now since it's on the return track. So let's come over to that, and let's turn it on. And I'm going to pan that, I think, to the left because the electric guitar is on the right. This bends track here. So it's something like that. Right? Maybe not all the way left, sir. Let me try this.
Wish you back. Wish you back. Just put you back. I could wish you back.
I just feel like it needs a little something else on. So I like that delay sound, but I feel like it needs a little something else on the dry signal itself, on that guitar sound. So I'm trying to think, what could we potentially experiment with here? Tell you what, why don't we try some RC20 and then maybe browse through some presets that I don't use as much, just to see if we can find anything here.
Wish you back.
It's gonna start at the top. Oh my god, that sounds so good though. I mean, I'm not gonna use it as the main sound, but I'm saying this is the beauty of browsing through presets, because here's what I'm gonna do. I think I may have done this before in this mix. Oh my god, hell yeah. Let's go. So I love this sound as a layered sound. Let me turn up this distortion, see if that makes it a little much.
Wish you back. Wish you back. Wish you back.
Okay, so what we need to do now is copy, duplicate this track, and I'm going to go duplicate track complete. That way it duplicates the track with the plugins as well as the audio. So now we have a complete doubled version of this, a duplicated version. And now see how it sounds over here. Oh, let's go. That sounds amazing. Oh my God, I love that so much. So what I'm gonna do now is I'm gonna go ahead and bounce this right to audio. And one, that helps to save CPU, but two, I just know this is a sound that I wanna use, but I also know there's no reason to try and, or most likely there's not gonna be a reason to edit this track and edit any of the plugins. This is just gonna be a sound I can potentially layer in to maybe just at the end part here where, you know, at that big chorus section of the song at the end where we can really help add that distortion to the song, whatever. So I'm going to transform this to rendered audio and do that. So now this track is bounced to audio. As you can see here, there are no plugins on here anymore, and that is because those plugins have been printed directly into the audio. So now this audio itself sounds like this. Let's go. Sounds so good. Now, let's see what it sounds like if we blend it in with that original, especially here at the end. Oh my goodness. And I'm going to do some crazy automation with this, just with the volume here probably, because I just want to experience this right now. Interesting there, because I didn't plan to do this, we don't have it at the end there, which is a little bit disappointing, but I might be able to turn some knobs here and pull some strings, if you will, just to get some more of this guitar sound there at the back half of that chorus. But anyway, I know that I love that sound, and I think that's going to be a beautiful layer, especially there. Let's see how it sounds here.
But I wish that I could wish you back.
Oh, whoops. Oh, so that's funny. Even the original one still had the RC20 on, so it was double of the same thing. So here. So we could still kind of so like this, right? Just kind of like that, and then just kind of do something. You know? Oh, we're gonna have so much fun with this volume automation once the time comes to do that. That is awesome. All right, let's see. Now that I got this original track in back to its original place, I want to see how the layer sounds. Yeah, just leave it right there. That way it's still audible. That way I don't forget about it. And then we'll make sure that we dial that in with regards to automation here, probably in the next video. So that is awesome. See, this is why you need to make time to sweeten your tracks, because you'll stumble on incredible things like this where you browse through some plugins, you try a random preset, and it just does something like this. Now notice how you don't necessarily need to use that preset on your original layer of the song, but instead do what I did, create a parallel track or a duplicated track, and then you can blend that in with the original. And it's a beautiful approach, and I love how we just randomly stumbled on that here. Just awesome. I am so excited. Okay, let's keep going.
These pictures on my phone, delete them all except for one. Made a photograph just to have to But I like to think we'd make it if we tried again. I just wish you were here again. And I just wish you were here. What a time, what a time, what a time, what a time it was. Oh, I know it's stupid, but I wish that I could wish you back.
I feel like we could almost add a little spice to this, just for some extra life. First place I'm going to try is just a good old sausage fattener. Now I'm going to try this new chorus plugin I've been having some fun with of late and see what that does. Yeah, no, I think I might be overthinking this a little bit. I think if anything, we just maybe need to send it, a little bit of it, to one of the reverbs that we have here. So let's see what it sounds on the Lana reverb. I don't think we need that because that's sort of a darker reverb and that might add more mud than anything. So let's see what the room sounds like. Adds a little bit. I'm not sure if it's what we want though. Let's try the slap delay. Ooh, that could work. Here's without it. I like that. It's pretty subtle, but it widens it up a bit. And I think that's kind of what I was feeling is I want this sound to be spread out just a little bit more. So let's see what it sounds like in the mix. I love that. I love that. Now the next thing is super obvious, and that's of course that vocal that we still haven't touched, because this goes back to what I was talking about earlier, how we've been focusing so much on the first parts of the song because I would always start there and when I would hit play and just kind of wait for the problems to present themselves. And naturally there would be problems early in the song. So this is one of those that ended up slipping under the radar for a while, but I knew that I was going to get to it eventually, and the time has come to address it, which is this one right here. Okay, so there's one thing that I absolutely know that I want to do. Actually, first, before I do that, let's dial in the reverb. And let's see if, before I go and throw a reverb on it, let's first see how do the reverbs sound that we already have. I think that could work because it's not like it's going to compete with another vocal that has, because the lead vocal has this Lana reverb on it, right? But the lead vocal isn't singing here. So I think this might work. Yeah, what's interesting about this reverb, and you may be noticing this, is it affects it on it's such a it feels disconnected from the original track because you still really hear the dry signal of this O's vocal track. Now that can be great on the lead vocal, that's perfect. That's especially early on in the song. It works perfectly because you still can hear that upfrontness and that clarity of the lead vocal, and then you have that very filtered out echo with that reverb. But the problem here is that even though the reverb is turned up quite loud on this vocal track, it's still not washed out enough. So what we need to do is, I think, keep this one. I think I like the darkness that it adds to it, but we need to also add a shorter, either room, but more likely a plate reverb. I'll try the room first to see what that gives us. Don't think that's what we want. I'm gonna go ahead. I'm gonna try adding a little plate reverb here. Let's go with Little Plate, just the classic Little Plate, one of my favorite plugins, simply because it's so damn easy. I mean, look at this plugin, it's beautiful. Okay. Okay, so just so you know my thought process here, what I'm doing, the reason I temporarily put the mix all the way wet is because I want to be able to really hear the reverb, and I want to dial in a length that feels good with just the reverb on, because when you have it just halfway, it's sometimes hard to really tell what the reverb is doing and how long that tail is. So I think I like what we have there. Now let's dial this back. Let's come back here. And the next thing, now, this is one thing I know I want to do because this is also something I did in the original version of this mix, and it worked really well, and that is to put microshift on this vocal. Now, I could just as well go and record another vocal and then have natural doubles, and that's fair, but I'm going to show you. I've sort of made a rule I'm not going to record more tracks because I want to give you an example of what it looks like to just, these are the tracks that you have. This is the recipe that you have, or these are the ingredients that you have. Now go make the recipe using only those ingredients and see how good you can make it. And so this is an example of how can we get a nice wide doubled effect if we only have one track. So I'm going to try to just do this and make the best of it. So let's see what we have. Now what I need to do here is put the microshift probably before the reverb. That way that the sound going into the microshift plugin is the dry signal. And then, because that just makes sense to me. Okay, I'm gonna do one more thing here. We just need more processing on this thing. This track, it does not have enough punch, doesn't have enough compression. I'm gonna go ahead and just grab JJP. I'm gonna put that all the way up at the top here. And then do this. Yeah, so I think what I need to do is really drench this vocal in that reverb, so we're up at around 80, 90%. So it's super spaced, super far away, or that's at least the perception. Now, just to be clear, these vocals are already tuned. So if you're wondering, like if you're trying to do this and it doesn't sound this clean, then that might be the problem. So make sure that, especially for a poppy type of song like this, you can 100% be pretty lazy about tuning something like this. Although if you're doing slides or like oh like that type of stuff, then obviously you need to be very, very careful, and you might want to use something like Melodyne instead and only focus on specific notes. But anyway, here's what we have. I like that. Notice what I'm doing here? I'm boosting the mid-range. Now that might seem like why would you boost the mid-range? That's where all the muddiness and the wah happens, and it just kind of screws up your mix. Well, no, not exactly. I mean, mid-range is a tool that you want to use. Because when you add, for example, when you add distortion to your song, a lot of times you're adding some mid-range, and that is where you get that bite. Because notice how the sound, if I turn this EQ off, it sounds a little thin, right? It's so thin. Now listen. I think I might want to angle it slightly towards the high mids. Like this. Okay, I'm going to try one more thing very quickly. Let's see what it sounds like. If we throw a little altar boy, a little altar boy on this track. Now, what's very important about when you do something like this at this stage of the plugin chain is make sure you move this altar boy plugin all the way to the top. That way it's the first plugin. That way it can actually affect the dry audio. Otherwise, it's not going to know what to do with all the reverb and everything else that's on it. So we've moved the plugin to the top of the chain. And now I'm probably going to dial in the mix knob. But first, let's see if there's a sound. So I bet you can guess what I'm about to do here. Some of you can guess. I'm going to create another parallel track. Yes, you heard that right. So I'm going to mix 100 here. So let's go ahead and repeat that process. So coming in here, duplicate track complete, and then we're going to bounce this duplicated version down to bounced audio, especially since we have all those plugins on it. We don't want to deal with all the extra CPU space that would take up. So we'll transform that to rendered audio. Of course, now I forgot to turn off the original one, so let's just go ahead and get rid of that and do this. Oh, we're gonna have so much fun with the volume automations on these. See, that is where the power comes in, when you can do kind of what I was just doing there. Tuck it and now that's still pretty obvious, but I just wanted you to be able to hear it. I think I need to do one more thing to try and add some space. It still feels like this track is a little bit too there's not enough happening. There just isn't enough of a sense of multiplicity with this track. And again, this problem could easily be rectified simply by recording a bunch of tracks. But again, I'm going to try to give you examples of what this stuff looks like if you only play the cards you are dealt. What can you come up with? And so in an attempt to fix that problem, why don't we try a little plugin called Valhalla Supermassive. I'm going to give that a shot and see if there's like a very interesting delay or reverb type of sound that could add some spice to this. Let's see. Interesting. A little bit much. Difference there though. See, we needed a plugin like this. good sound. I think I like that. I think now what the issue just might be an EQ thing. So I'm gonna go ahead and grab Fat Channel here real quick and just mess around with some EQ things here. Thing I think I need to do is just add a little saturation of some kind. Saturation knob. But I want to put it earlier in the chain because if it's after all those plugins, it's probably going to react a little bit unpleasantly to it. So final chorus there, which is an automation thing again, so we will dive into that in the automation phase, which we will get into in the very next video, and then we'll really bring this final chorus vocal to the front of the mix and make sure that it is heard and that's clear and it has some saturation on it and some more space and all of those wonderful things. So my friend, I think I said when I started this video this is going to be a short one. Well, I lied. I don't think this was short by any stretch of the imagination, but anyway, that is where I'm going to wrap this video up. So in the last video, we sweetened up in a more of an 80-20 approach. This video, I just kind of hit play and waited for the other tracks, the less important tracks, but still, if they're in the song, they're probably still somewhat important, and that is the case with a lot of the tracks that we have here. So we did some work, we added some color, some interest, some sparkle, some sugar, all those wonderful things to this song. So now this is where the gold happens. We are going to start to do automation. Automation is the key to taking your mixes out of amateur land into pro land. So let's dive right into that. I'm not going to waste any time. I will see you there.